Welcome, superstars, to another exciting show with the odd couple of real estate. It's yours truly, Mr. Tycoon, the undisputed king of wholesaling, and my brother from another mother, my partner in crime, Mr. Don DeRosa.
What up? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Now, we usually record these on Mondays, and just for the record, Don, I want you to show them some of your skills. You know, sometimes we taping these, we go live on IG, and you can find me at I am Mr. Tycoon. On IG. And Mr. Don DeRosa, how can they find you on IG? You on IG, or what's that little clip that you got?
Well, here, I'll put your IG up there, right there. There's your IG right there.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that. We got technology working today.
Here's, if you want to find me on IG, there you go.
Okay, Expert Real Estate Coaching. And for those who are watching right now, tuning in live on IG, a wave out to you all. Y'all see that I'm on camera. So understand that this is our podcast, and we're probably into our 5th or 6th show right now. And just for the record, we still working out some of our technical difficulties on my part. You know, even though I ain't got nothing to do with it, I will take some of the credit for that. And then let me know how y'all feel about that Don DeRosa. You know, that came off the top of the dome. You know, I'm like Jay-Z. I don't have to write nothing down. It just comes. It just flows. The anointing is heavy in here. The real estate and the wealth anointing is heavy today. And Don, you know, how you feeling? You know, it's Friday. Can you believe we 2 months into the new year?
Yeah. I mean, I looked at the calendar, and what is today, the 10th or 11th?
Today's 11th.
And just the other day, we were commenting it was the end of the month.
Right.
So we're halfway through the next month.
Right.
And it's like, damn, time's flying. I'm not getting any younger either.
And that's true. And I know you're a new grandfather also.
I am.
As you say, well, Papa?
Pap.
Pap.
With a P, 2 P's.
Pap. See,
See,
that's why we the odd couple of real estate, because we have 2 different backgrounds. You know, you grandpa or you big dad, you know.
So what if Not if. He's going to have.
Okay.
He's
12 now.
He's 12.
And I'm 55.
Yeah, he's 12.
You know, yeah.
Eventually, you'll be a grandfather.
Yeah, eventually. And
so, what do you want to be known as a grandfather?
The wise one.
The wise one. You're gonna make him say that.
Walking wisdom.
Well, I've come to the realization that you will be known what he can pronounce.
Or money bag. I'll probably be known as money bag. Buy me this, buy me that, buy me this.
Yeah, maybe that's when he gets 12.
Okay, that's when he gets 12.
That's when he gets 12.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So, what are we talking about today? I think we're going to talk about.
Give it to him. Is the crash coming? You know, so many people have been talking about this, even last year, and that's what we're talking about today. Those who are tuning in live right now, we're talking about, is the crash coming? What we mean by what is the crash is coming? Is there going to be a real estate crash similar to 2008? And then most of our listeners won't even remember the S&L scandal of that crash.
Oh, no,
they won't know nothing about that.
No.
I mean, interest rates was 21%, and you know, and crazier. But that's what we're talking about.
SNL, they're gonna think that's like a TV show.
They're gonna think that's
Saturday
SNL,
Night,
Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Go look it up. Google it. Just ask Google, because they don't even like to type stuff. They just want to ask Google. How do you spell? But is the crash coming? And you know, I just want to get your intake on it. As you know, I'm part of shout out to Realty One Group Terminus, the brokerage that I'm a part of, and I do the peak performance coaching. And we're just talking about what agents and, you know, I think they said Atlanta market as far as realtors. We are behind in being able to keep up with the supply, the demand, and so how many people are still moving to Atlanta, and the price points of us compared to other markets. But on a national level, do you think there's going to be a crash, Don?
In simple terms?
Yes. Simple term.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And
now,
I
is that a crash or a correction?
Okay, that's a great point.
Right.
So,
See,
do I
got
think?
some good questions. I know.
So, do I think there's going to be a crash? No. But you have to understand, our country as a nation, about every 10 years, historically for the last 50, 60 years, there's been, we go through cycles.
Right.
A buyer cycle, seller cycle. And historically, it averaged, that cycle completes itself within 8 to 10 years, sometimes a little longer. We're well beyond that.
So we're saying the last crash was 2008, 2007,
2008, 2009, right?
Okay.
That was what I call a self-inflicted gunshot wound for us.
But it was a crash.
Oh, it was a definite crash.
Yeah, Washington Mutual's not here, and a lot of places not here.
But well, I shouldn't say we. I had nothing to do with it. You and I had nothing to do with it. It was the
The
banks.
big guys. The big guys.
The banks was they wrote terrible loans, and it came out and bit them in the rear end.
Right.
Now, I say we learned from it. I think we learned from it, but time will tell, because as interest rate, because think about, that was the element that pushed us over the edge. And what we were able to do to correct that, or to kind of keep us from going into a depression, they called that the Great Recession, but to keep us from going into a depression, one of the things they did was the feds were lowered interest rates.
Right.
They kept lowering to kind
keep the economy going.
Yeah, to keep the economy going and to stave off any of the true depression.
Right.
Well, guess what? We don't have that anymore. We don't have the ability. Our interest rates are at a record low.
3%.
Right.
2%, 2.8%.
Well, even in 2008, banks were doing stuff historically that they had never done or rarely done.
No, never done. Again,
modifications.
Well, modification, but you mean after the crash or the self-inflicted gunshot wound?
Yes.
I was talking about prior to that, when they did a no doc loan.
Yeah.
No documentation is needed. If you can fog up a mirror, you can get a loan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was giving a gun strictly to a 2-year-old. Yeah. So today's market now, real estate is doing good. Economy has taken a hit because of this thing we went through that we've never seen in our lifetime, which was this pandemic, or AKA plandemic, depends on what side of school you listen to. And we saw that there was some bailout in a sense of people getting stimulus checks, and they chose to take the stimulus check. Now, we're also talking about, and this is the thing, people talk about, we're talking about individuals of a less income. We're not talking about people who making $75,000, $200,000
well,
getting the
here's
stimulus.
the thing, though. That's the interesting part. My son, who makes a decent income.
Okay, what's decent, so we can be clear with the people?
Over $100,000.
Okay. Less than 10% of our society makes over $100,000.
And he's getting stimulus checks, and he's getting the checks for his my grandson, and he's going, Dad, I don't need these checks. Why are they sending them to me?
Maybe because he's of a lighter hue. I'm just messing with you.
No, but my point,
I know.
But my point is, he's like, so then he gets a letter in the mail saying, hey, you may not be eligible for these. I'm like, so fortunately for him, he's putting them away into his son's.
But they didn't ask him to refund them, though, did they?
Not yet.
Okay.
But he may what at least when I read the letter, they may adjust that on his tax return.
Okay.
So they're going to give him money and then turn around and adjust it back out. I don't know how many people that applies to, because that's just an experience that I seem to be.
That you had privy to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, and that kind of brings up a point on that is that a lot of individuals benefited from the stimulus as far as corporations getting bailouts. Because I remember one thing I saw on TV was the Lakers even got some relief, and they said, well, we really don't need it. Let's go on and give it back, because it just didn't look good. But it was within the lines of the law, and so we'll say that for another subject.
Well, there's investigations going on right now for all those PPP.
That's a
loans
whole nother
that people were taking advantage of those.
Yeah.
And that's so that's the problem with big government. In my opinion, they're trying to hold back what's inevitable, in my opinion.
But this was based on the pandemic. This has nothing to do with, where the market is, top heavy.
But how do you think inflation got where it is? Because we're at 7.5% right now, which is the highest inflation that's been in 40 years. 40 years. I'm 50. I was 15 at the time. So what is that? 19. That was back when Carter was president. people were standing in line, for, you couldn't get gas. I mean, they're saying gas is going to be higher than it's ever been.
Well, it's been higher for us already at $3, $3.60, $3.70, and if you go next door, it's $4. That's the highest.
Yeah, I know. I got gas there the other day.
I told you. I tried to tell you it's the highest gas.
That was the first day I hit over $100 on my gas tank.
Yeah, but you got it.
I got it
because you dying to do the deals, DeRosa.
Well, for me, time is valuable. I'm like, okay, so I spent a little bit more on gas, but I don't want to have to put a little, because I was literally on E.
Right.
I don't want to have to spend a little bit here and then go and stop somewhere else. My time's more valuable than that.
Okay. So back to the crash.
Yes.
It's coming, in your opinion.
Coming.
And you said big government can't hold it off.
No. I mean, in fact, part of the reason why we're seeing such inflation is because we're printing money faster than it can dry.
Okay. But that's for bailout stuff and
that's for everything. I mean, you think about it, and you and I talked about this the other day at lunch, right? What's going on around? So why do I think there's going to be a correction? Mm-hmm. There's a number of reasons.
Let's give them top two. Top two, because we only got a 30-minute show.
Top two, I think what's happening right now is inflation's going through the roof. People's dollars are not going as far as they once did. So I think that's going to have an impact on eventually how people spend money. And then with that, the Feds have already talked about interest rates climbing. They're going to start increasing interest rates. Well, when that happens, what happens to the housing market? Now, you take another wrinkle in the whole housing market. Who is predominantly buying houses right now with reckless abandon? And I say that in the
hedge funds, the big money institutions.
The corporate buyers.
Yeah.
Corporate buyers are buying stuff up left and right, and they're paying more money than you should for a house.
Right.
And
because they got money at such a low interest rate, not the interest rate you're talking about.
But they're
Feds.
escalating the economy. Every time they do that, they're blowing more air into that bubble.
Okay.
Every time you escalate a neighborhood that far outreaches what the average consumer can buy, the only person that can buy them now, all these houses, is corporate buyers. So when that happens, that pushes all the other homeowners to do what? Rent. What's happening to rent prices right now? Going through the roof.
That's what has always went on with rents. Even when the 2008 rents did not go down.
Yes.
Rents
so
have always increased.
That's right. So the question is, should you be afraid? That's the real question.
Okay.
Should, as investors, because we're talking about two different, you got the average consumer.
Right.
And then you have investors like us. Should we as investors be afraid of that? Because I always tell people all the time, we make more money in a bad market than we do a good market.
Right.
Because of the fact that when chaos happens, people panic, houses lose their value. And in our world,
people fold fast.
In our world, that's when you buy. You buy at the lowest point. And then you sell when the economy gets better. That's how you become a millionaire.
Right.
Or that's how you get, wealthy.
Right.
So do I think that's coming? Yes. Do I think you should, or people out there should be in the real estate world, the creative real estate world, should be excited about it? I mean, I guess that's a yes. I do think that I wouldn't say I'm excited about it, but I am.
Start getting your money together.
Exactly. Start preparing yourself. Start preparing yourself.
Okay.
In my opinion.
And in my opinion, I think we're going to have a slight correction. I don't think it's going to be a crash nowhere near 2008 because it's not the same a fiasco going on, meaning that it wasn't created by the lenders, and that's a whole subject matter. And for those who are listening and want to understand more about the 2008 crash, watch this movie, The Big Short.
Yes.
It really breaks down that it really wasn't your millionaire real estate investors who was doing loan. It was much bigger than that. All the corporate banks was in on it because they were shorting their portfolios or the package that they were putting together of all these loans and selling them on a second and a third tier. But go watch the movie. But I do expect these foreclosures, as we was talking about at lunch last week, that the foreclosure are doubling. We just talking about the Atlanta market. I don't know if you looked at it from a national level, but how
I looked at the
fast
numbers. I looked at the numbers from the state of Georgia. I haven't really delved
nationwide,
into nationwide.
right? Just worry
I've
about what's
just
in your
been
backyard.
Yeah, I've just been looking at because right now I feel like I'm playing a chess game. I'm trying to move 3 or 4 moves ahead. I'm trying to
Right,
get ahead of the game.
right.
So I'm looking at how am I going to market this game? How am I going to market in the future? Because our competition isn't going to be other investors per se. It's going to be corporate buyers.
Well, I think they're gonna have to get out the game because just like the corporate buyers in 2009 that came into the business, all the hedge funds and we were short selling and buying these deals and taking them to them, and they was paying 3 times what they were worth because they came here and they bought something for $70,000 and they came from L.A. and New York with that money. They didn't realize that that $70,000 house was in a war zone, but they couldn't even believe you can buy a whole house for $70,000.
I was thinking about this on the drive in here today, and because I knew we were going to be talking about this, and I remember I was at the courthouse steps on several occasions when this first happened. And as investors, I used to do stuff on the steps, courthouse steps, and buy stuff. I haven't been to the steps since 2008, 2009.
Right.
And because here's what happened. Investors back in Atlanta in that day and age, you could go to the steps and buy stuff for $20, $30, $40, $50,000
Right.
as an investor. Well, as an investor, if you know anything about the steps, what you do is they open the bid and then people put their bid in. Well, you would have investors go, okay, I'm going to bid 20. And then another investor would go 22. Another investor would go 23. And then a hedge fund would step in and go 85. And everybody would turn and look and go, what the hell was that? What happened to like 30 and 40 and 50? And I had a hedge fund tell me point blank, hedge funds are in town and we are going to prove that nobody can compete. We are going to dominate. And we're going to show everybody that they cannot compete.
We the big dog.
They cannot compete. That came right out of a hedge fund buyer, bidder's
But that's
mouth.
arrogance and ignorance also.
Yes, but guess what? It happened.
They died too, though.
Not all of them.
Most of them fell on the sword because they overpaid for stuff and not even knowing what they bought. They were just looking at numbers and not realizing the area they were in.
Well, I do agree with that. I mean, and I still think that today you have iBuyers like Zillow
who's out now.
They're out of the game now.
Yeah. They just pulled the plug.
But then who are the other ones? You have
OfferPad, iHouse Buyer.
What's the other one? There's another bigger one. OfferPad and
what's name is even what was in the market? Berkshire Hathaway. They was buying up stuff also.
Yeah, but those folks, I want to go to them and go, look, you need to hire me as your negotiator because you guys are terrible at it.
Because they don't have feet on the ground, and so make sure that I don't get too far off or we go too far over with this show because. So we both in agreement, and we're going to come back to that point. We both in agreement that there will be a correction. Some people may want to call it a crash. You shouldn't be fearful, especially if you are an investor. And my 2 reasons. Number one, investing is about pivoting. Investing is about figuring out how to make it work. But the point, if you don't really know this business yet, you don't have your skill set up, that's the thing that you need to be concerned with is let me get my skill set up so I can understand what a short sale is, what subject to is, what's going on, what's a good area and what's a great area. Because if an area has a great school, people wouldn't pay more for that house over there in that area. If the school district is poor, it's just going to be a rental area, and the price can drop a lot further in that area than it's going to drop in where there's a great school district. Because
I see. I mean, there's always been a gap in wealth.
Right.
There's
always will be.
But I see that gap getting bigger and bigger because what I didn't see 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even 10 years ago, I didn't see a lot of corporate. You always had hedge funds buying certain things. You've always had corporate buyers, but I have never in my entire career, and I've been in this 25 years, I've never seen so many corporate buyers. And because they have so much money, they're willing, like investors like you and I, we have to make money or else we're out of business.
Right.
We can't just make a 1 or 2% margin.
No.
Or a 3% margin. That doesn't cut it for us. That doesn't put food on our table. But when you're a corporate buyer, I just sold a house in Decatur a few weeks ago, and they paid $363,000 for this house, and their intent was to rent it. That's $100,000 more than the average house in that neighborhood. So how you tell me how now it was great for me, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I go to buy, I have to compete with someone going, well, this house, if I try to buy a neighbor's house, I got to compete with that comp that I just set. So what's happening is that's forcing all the prices up. But the problem is inflation is eating up people's salaries. And your buying power, and then when the interest rates go up, guess what's happened? People aren't going to be able to qualify. They're not going to be able to qualify for these loans if we're not careful, which is going to create a headache for people. Now,
and I disagree with that, because one thing in our society, Don, that our society has shown me we're both 55, in my brief time, I never thought we would be spending $1,000 for a phone. And not just people who got it, but people who on the bus,
I agree.
People even in third world countries, which are really first world because they got a lot of resources. But what I'm saying is they still got their phones. They still got on their Nikes.
I agree. But that's a short-term thing. I'm telling you right now.
How long iPhone's been around?
I have another son.
How long iPhone's been around?
A long time.
Right. And people
Since 2007, I think.
People been buying them ever since then.
But they finance those phones and they pay $12 a month.
Okay, but so you don't think they're gonna do that? You don't think mortgage companies and banks are gonna figure out a way, just like they have always figured out?
Yes.
Even now.
Yes. And what's gonna create? You're gonna create inflation is gonna continue to rise. They have already said it. They've already identified it. So when that happens, your dollar, your buying power goes to hell in a handbasket, right? But wait, because who's buying these houses right now? Who's the predominant buyer? What's the demographics?
We say corporate people are buying them right now,
but from a consumer standpoint, forget about the
millennials who are in corporate, these high tech technology individuals.
People who have been out of college and let's say 5 to 7 years. They've already established themselves. They've got a decent income, decent stable job, and they're getting FHA loans. FHA loans are the majority of the types of loans they're getting because they don't have large down payments. The interest rates are low and the money is cheap. What happens when, the down payment's still low, but what happens when that money becomes more expensive, when the interest rates climb and that dollar that they're spending right now doesn't go quite as far, and the economy and the appreciation of the houses, what a house costs to buy, is out of their reach.
Well, I believe this. This is my take on that. Hedge funds, whether it's offer pay, they can't buy all the houses.
No, I agree.
They can't buy all the houses.
But that's my point. That's what's going to create in my opinion, that's what's going to create that recession. Is when we hit that critical point where the dollar is too expensive, it doesn't go as far as it used to, interest rates are higher. Therefore, when the interest rates go up, that means the person qualifying their house has to qualify for a cheaper or smaller mortgage. Well, guess what?
But you asking people,
there's no smaller mortgages out there because people, with all these corporate buyers out there, they're driving the price of homes through the roof.
And that's why Atlanta's doing like this. And we're just talking about the Atlanta market right now. This is why Atlanta's doing like this. You got Conyers, Douglasville, Griffin, and they building out there now, and they building cheaper. So people just gonna have
That's wrong. I'm telling you, I'm a builder. I have built houses. I used to build a home Okay.
No, but we talking about being able to go into an area and get a new house. I ain't gonna say the construction is as quality as your.
I'm not even talking about
$300,000.
quality. I'm talking about cost.
Oh, I know cost is going up, but they gonna figure out a way. They just got to build more houses. They're gonna have to make less profit because these companies got to stay in business.
I'm telling you. Let
me just say this. So
in 2007, in 2007,
listen,
2007, I called it.
And see.
I called between 2006 and 2007. I called the crash, and I said it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard. Took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it happened exactly like I said. And mark my words, you hear it here on this show. This is exactly what's going to happen.
I don't agree with you.
Take you. If I'm wrong, I'll take you to any steakhouse, any place you want to go.
Okay, we're going to Dubai, and where the guy sprinkled
that's right.
The gold on it. You heard him now. You heard him. Did y'all all hear that? We're gonna be there, and that guy gonna be sprinkling that gold on the ribeye with the it's not even the ribeye. What's the one with the hatchet? What they call that hatchet steak?
The wagyu? No, that's
you know the steak that got the
tomahawk.
The tomahawk. Yeah, I want one of them.
I'd make those all the time.
No, but we go in there and have him do like this, and it costs like $700 plus the trip. $3,000 to go to Dubai. So
okay,
$3,700 steak.
I'm very confident. But here's the thing.
If I lose, I'm taking you to Houston right across the street.
But here's the thing. I'm going to tell you, as investors,
we don't care.
We don't care.
And that's the main.
And that's the beauty part of this.
We want to say that we do not care because we learn how to pivot. And what I mean by that, when people were losing houses, we learned about subject to.
That's right.
When people was losing houses and we couldn't take them over subject to, we learned about short sales. When people were giving away houses, we learned about how to buy and hold and create rentals. And now what has been produced is Airbnb. And that's what I want you all to understand. Something else will be created within the real estate arena.
No doubt about it.
And it won't be the BRRRR. That's our next topic. We're going to talk about this bullshit ass BRRRR system. And
I agree.
And I think this was a healthy conversation because at the end of the day, I don't have a crystal ball. But I have confidence. Don may have the crystal ball, and see the future, But the thing is, I can't say this.
You can rub it and see if it tells you the future.
I can say this. We're going to be all right for those of us who figure out how to thrive in any economy because we're not survivors, we're thrivers. Yeah. And that's what we want you all to get from this show is we're going to have different opinion about things. But the thing is, what we can agree on is that real estate can give you that dream life, whatever that is, if you wouldn't put in the work and get your skill set up because it doesn't happen without skill. And that's it on me for this episode. Yours truly, Mr. Tycoon from MrTycoon.com and I really do this shit.com. And I'm gonna turn it back over to my partner in crime.
Have one last comment.
Go ahead. I'm letting you have it from here.
Well, here's the thing that will get you through. Every time the economy takes that dip, we as investors figure out how to make money.
Right.
And you're going to hear it here, maybe first, maybe you've already heard this before. But the technique that you're going to be using, guess what? It's going to be subject to. Because think of all the people right now that have 3% loans. Well, eventually those people may lose their house. They may go into foreclosure. They may have some kind of motivation to sell. If you learn how to take over a property subject to or do some owner finance or creative finance with them, you can take over a loan. Even if 5 years from now, if the economy goes to hell in a handbasket and interest rates go to 10%, there's still going to be those loans out there that you can buy, take over subject to at 3%, put a tenant in there and make a lot of money. So that's why I tell people, don't panic, just pay attention. Pay attention and get good at the craft, get good at investing, and learn how to use these techniques like subject to, wraparound mortgages, lease options, those types of things. Owner financing.
So get your skill set up. And with that being said, Don, I know we are in preliminaries for April, having an event, and maybe because just for the record, I'm the king of of flipping. And when I say flipping, I'm talking about wholesaling. Don's a fix and flip. And we're putting on an event in April where we're going to come together and share both. My day is going to be on wholesaling everything from A to Z and share with you a plug-and-play system. And Don's going to show you how to fix and flip and talk about some deals that he has going on. And what we may do is come together and put on a special subject to classes. We think that's going to be something that you need in your toolbox or in your first aid kit when the blood stops flowing in the street. And again, I want to say this. I don't want you to look at us because some of you all were like, oh, they're just waiting for people to start, losing. We didn't create it. We just here to help. Because if you're losing your house and you don't need a foreclosure in your house, we just bring you a solution. We didn't create the foreclosure. You got yourself in that situation.
Yep.
And so one thing that I want you all to stop doing is getting your feelings involved and look at the facts. We're here to help, and that's what this show is all about, showing you how to be the best investor you can be, and also some personal development to go in there and along with that, because so often investors get a bad rap in the investment world. They put, they got attorneys, and they say they the bottom of the scum of the earth, and then they got the car salesmen, and then they got real estate investors right there behind them. We're not as bad as car salesmen,
but you know what?
Yeah.
When they need a car, guess where they go?
Yeah.
They got to go talk to a car salesman.
Yeah. Well, they think they got Carvana now. They go get out the machine.
They still has a car salesman.
But they don't feel like that. They
I know.
Don't feel like it.
I get it.
Dealing with somebody.
I get it.
Yeah.
There's so many people in this world. You just, in every profession, you're going to have people that kind of ruin the bunch. But there's a lot of people out there. And I tell all of my students, look, you're a problem solver. If you can go in and you can find out what the problem is and solve it, that's worth something.
Right.
That's worth you making some money at that.
Right.
You've solved a problem for them, and you've created a solution, and you've created income for yourself.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Just like going to the doctor. You only go to the doctor when you got a problem with a dentist.
That's right.
And you don't get mad at them for having to pull out your teeth and tell you it's cost this much, or to put a
Right.
crown, or
Right.
what's the real expensive one when they had to go dig into it?
Crown.
But a root canal.
Oh, yeah, root canal. Yeah, that usually comes with a root canal and a crown.
Yeah. See, they put a crown on your root canal.
Yeah.
That's why they cost so much, because it's a crown.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That came off top of the dome.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all got it, but that means it's time for us to go. Don, put up on there, and also you can find us on YouTube at
let's see. I'll give you mine first, since it's at my fingertips.
Don DeRosa 2.
Yeah, that's if you type in YouTube. You can always go to Expert Real Estate Coaching.
That's what I thought you was going to put up there.
But there's Tycoons. That's his.
Real simple.
Real simple.
Mr.
I'll put some other. There's, if you want to follow us on Facebook, Expert Real Estate Coaching there. Another really simple one.
I am Mr. Tycoon, and that's the same for IG. You want everything across so that you all can find us. But just Google us.
I'll make it really simple for everybody.
Show them.
If you just go here, DonDeRosa.com, it has everything. That's my link tree.
Everything.
And then I think you give me your link tree, and I think it's this one, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it wasn't that one. That kind of long one. But we're not going to worry about it on this show.
Yeah.
Because I want to get y'all out of here, because I'm tired of dealing with y'all today. And I want y'all to go out here and make some money, because at the end of the day, I don't want you just to listen to the game. I want you to play the game. And with that being said, let me give you this personal development jewel to go along. There's franchise players, and those are the ones who are on the field. And then there's always going to be fans that sit in the stands. And what do fans do? Complain, bitch, and moan, and cry, and talk about, you ain't this, you ain't that. But that's why they're fans. They watching you be a franchise player. So don't get caught up in what they say. Just make sure you're in touch with your star player, which is yourself. And as long as you know you're doing the right thing, keep shining. And if they can't handle your shine, tell them to get their sunglasses, because you were designed to shine.
Amen.
We out.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
The Couple of Real Estate. We out of here.